Okay. That's working. Let's see if this is working. Hey! That's working. We are up and running. Everybody's doing good. We're doing good. Testing, testing. Testing more. Okay. Hello, everybody. Greg, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? All right, we are rolling like some stones. All right. This is what we are going to do today. Today, what's up, Pirate? How you doing, Sub-Zero? Yahoo, you, what's up, man? How are you? Yeah. So it's been a little bit. It's been a bit. I think my last stream was early December. Since then, I've had a new baby, so I've been a little bit busy with the swaddling and the diaper changing and all that fun stuff. So that was actually my first month off from streaming in, I think, 2 years. So yeah, I'm back. Things are a little bit more smooth now at the Bengtson household, so figured I'd get back to the art stuffs. Since then, I did a little bit of work to this guy, just working on his pose a little bit. And later in the stream, I'll work on showing you how I got some skin results from the Texturing XYZ and ZWrap pipeline that Jeremy Celeste did over at Texturing XYZ. He put together an awesome quick little tutorial that I was able to follow pretty well. And we got some good stuff out of. So I'll show that pretty quickly later in the stream. Can't seem to bump up the video quality more than 360. Oh, that's weird. Let me know if anybody else has that issue. I won't be able to solve it, but at least I'll know. Yeah, things are going good, man. Thanks, Pirate. Okay, so just to let you guys know, depending on what platform you're on, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, I'll be answering all of those questions and comments and stuff. So if you don't see something in whatever platform you're on, it's because I'm responding to a different platform. What's up, Christine? Cool. The textures. Awesome. Well, we will do that. Actually, you know what? I'll just really quickly, I'll give you a quick tease. Just a quick one. We'll do ZBrush. We'll do head wrap. Let's try 5. Aiden, yes. Yeah, let me do that real quick. Let me do that. Here's the Texturing XYZ tutorial for you guys. It's specifically using Texturing XYZ maps and the ZWrap plugin for ZBrush. So I'll show you how I did that, and hopefully everything goes correctly while I'm live on stream in front of lots of people. It'll be great. So here's just the quick and dirty. Basically, you set up a plane with the original texture. and then you use the Z wrap to wrap that around. You get something like this. Let me turn this dude's texture off. Let's turn that off. You get something like this, right? So like this has now been wrapped to that. Let's see, actually, let me see if I didn't put it on a layer. Right? And then you can bake those two together. Yeah, the Z-Rep is pretty dope. It's pretty dope. So once we get into the stream a bit, so we get a chance for people to kind of come in, and then we'll go ahead and show that, and hopefully everything works out beautifully. All right. In the meantime, let's see where we left off with this fine young cannibal. So since the last time, I've worked on his position, his stance a little bit, and then I pretty significantly reduced the base and added a couple of other things. But just to give you, anybody that's new, is that intuitive? Attentive? How you doing? Yeah, Z-Wrap's awesome, man. Just a quick review of where this guy is. So this is just some practice, some personal practice for collectible and statue pipeline work that I've always wanted to do. So no, I don't have a deadline to finish the troll. But you know, if you look at the bottom of the screen there, I've only put about 45 hours or so into this guy. So even though it's been quite a lot of stream time on this guy, in real time it's only been about 45 hours or so. What's up, Michael? Macau? How you doing? What's up, dude? So I'll load the previous version so you can see what some of the changes I did. Let's do 10 here. Deadline for the troll is 46 hours. Yeah. What's up, Pre-Drag? How you doing? What's up, Clegan? Yes, they're all different subtools. So if you look here, so that's a subtool, that's a subtool, that's a subtool. These are all different subtools. Even the head is different. So let me turn on the base real quick for reference. Yeah, Z-Wrap has a lot of different uses. I'm really looking forward to using. Yep, that's fine. Alright, so this was the original base and the original stance. So it was okay. You know, it felt a little bit too static. What's up, Casper? No, I'm gonna get back to the Horizon Zero Dawn guy. We're probably going to do that in about 30 minutes. Yeah, it was just it was a tease. It was a tease for wait until we get into kind of the meat of the stream, and then we'll do it. 45 hours for the whole sculpt here. That's about what I've put in so far. Maybe less. Maybe less. So I've done almost all of the work on this guy on these Pixelogic streams. So if you want to go to ZBrushLIVE.com and go back and see how I got there, pretty much every single stream that I've done on there has been this guy. Yep, no problem. So anyways, the stance. It was okay. It felt kind of static. And the base was way too big. So what I did was I shortened the base, pulled his leg up, gave him a little bit more curve to his action line here. So you can see the difference here. So this was before, this is after. And then before, after. Before, after. So he's just got a little bit more oomph to his stance. Really wanted to get a little bit more action in there. There's still tons and tons of stuff to do. So I got to fix his foot. Got to fix all the rocks still. I still have to do this full leg. Finish this. Finish the belt. Yeah, more dynamic, right? Yeah. I think the pose needed to be a little bit more dynamic. I didn't want it to be too crazy dynamic because he's still kind of like supporting weight, but I wanted to have a little more action. Today we're going to work on his face. Yeah, for probably about 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. We're going to work on his face here. Because right now, he's just, this is all just Dynamesh. All right, you can see kind of all this gross stuff here. So what I wanted to show was when I get to this point where I have enough details just kind of blocked out. This is basically a block out. Then I'm ready to kind of get into the nitty gritty of the fine detail with them. So I wanted to show that. So that's what we'll do. So usually what I'll do is just make extra sure that I don't need to do any more form changes to this guy. So I think the only thing that I really need to do is work on the back transition of his neck on the body piece. And well, I may need to turn his head a little. Let's make sure that we have his head in the right position, anatomy-wise. Don't! I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine all this stuff. Because this is just... What's up, Z-NATO? How you doing, man? There's no layers on that guy. This one's got a layer, but that's just pose. We'll just bake all that. These guys have no layers. This one has a layer, but it's just a pose layer. This is where the head was. This is where it is now, so I'm just going to bake all that. So I think what I'm going to do is combine all these subtools so that when I move this, yeah, he needs a mustache. He's one of those like curly mustaches, right? So I'm going to combine all these subtools because they're different polygroups. So when I'm done, I can just re-export them to different subtools. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. So a lot of times, some of these subtools will be wherever in my stack. So usually what I would do is I'll just find the head, shift click up. That will throw this thing all the way up to the top. Grab this guy, shift click to the top. Grab this dude, shift click. Grab this dude, shift click. Grab these guys, shift click. Okay. Z-NATO needs some feedback. I probably won't be able to do feedback live on the stream, so I suggest either posting it to the Pixelogic Facebook group to grab some, or to ZBrush Central. It's a really, really good places to get some feedback. Okay, so let's grab these dudes. Question is, do I want to dupe them? I probably want to dupe them. because I'm always super paranoid about things. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, let's duplicate this guy, throw him to the top, turn the old one off. Grab this guy, duplicate, turn off the other one, throw him to the top. Grab this guy, duplicate, turn him off, throw him all the way to the top. Grab this guy, duplicate, turn that one off, throw him to the top. Grab these guys, duplicate, turn these ones off, and then throw that to the top. Now, I can just, let's now merge down. Yes, that's fine. Merge down, merge down. And merge down. There we go. So now this is all just one. Have you ever worked on any CGI project? What do you mean CGI? Over. So now when I move this guy, I can just move the whole head and I don't have to reposition all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is just make sure that this spot looks okay from the front, because I want to make sure that anatomy is sitting there. Which it looks a little bit weird. Feels like his head is coming off a little bit too much from the front. And it could be that I just need to rotate it a little bit. Yeah, that feels okay. And then what I'll do is, now that I've opened this up, I can actually put this guy down on his shoulder a little bit more to cover up this gap for production. Don't have to worry about that gap. And to make it look like it's got a lot more weight to it. Oh, CGI movies. No, most of my stuff has been in video games. Craig. Just because people say you're paranoid doesn't mean there isn't somebody out there waiting for you. Alright, let's see if we can get his head a little bit better. So sometimes when it's kind of off-kiltered, what I'll do is I'll put it in its natural position for what the body would be. Right, so if he tilts his torso, I want to keep the head in whatever that natural position would be if he doesn't move his neck. And then from there, what I can do is I can position a little bit more correctly instead of kind of just guessing. I'm wondering if I'll need to even drop it down a little bit. See how that looks like it's a broken neck now? Maybe what I'll do is I'll put this rotation point down a little bit more. Bless you. Thanks, Bella. Yeah, that feels a little bit better. We can start to see kind of his a little bit more depth because we can see the traps back there. I'll need to work on this transition a little bit more. But this feels pretty good. I'll need to work on the back of the neck a little bit more, which is fine. Yeah, let's say that's okay. All right, so then what I'll do, so I'll grab, so let's say this is all good. Now I want to work on the topology for this guy, because if I'm going to get into the final nitty-gritty details, I want to make sure that my topology workflow is not all messed up like this is, right? This is just Dynamesh, so it's kind of gross in here, so it's not going to handle all the super fine detail very well. So to get around that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split off, so we'll do split hidden. What's up, Yarda? How you doing, man? Thanks, dude. So we'll split off the head, and then we'll dupe. Let's see, how much stuff do I have turned off? I have a lot of stuff turned off. So when you're doing project, it's really based on what you have visible. So in my projects, I usually tend to have a lot of stuff that's just turned off. So I'm just going to go through and delete some of the stuff that I don't want. I don't need all that stuff. This one, this stuff I don't need. Because as I version these up, I can always go back and reappend these in from previous versions. So like if I want to go back to this previous version, I can just append back in some of that stuff that I delete. So usually I'll just delete all the stuff that I have hidden. Like all this stuff I don't really need in this one. So I'm just going to delete. You just got to be careful when you're doing this because you can't undo deletes. Okay, so that's all that stuff I don't need. This guy I don't need in here. This guy. Can you print with a 3D printer directly from ZBrush? Tony. What's up, dude? Like Tone Loke. Tony. There's some old references for you guys. I don't honestly, I don't have a whole lot of experience in the actual printing. There's some other dudes here on the Pixelogic team that would be better suited to answer that for you. See a lot of people debating whether they should use triangles or n-gons or not for topology. What do you think about that? I try not to use any n-gons, but I'll use the crap out of triangles. Especially as a game artist these days, it doesn't really matter too much because our polygon count can get so high in games these days, especially for what I work in, which is highly realistic stuff. Triangles don't really matter so much anymore. In the end, everything gets triangulated in the game engine anyways, so I'd rather have a little bit more control over where the triangles happen. There we go. Okay, cool. Now we're good. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, let's grab this dude. I'm going to throw him to the top. So let's duplicate that, and let's turn everybody off. So we're going to retop this guy. So we're just to go down to Geo real quick. We'll do Z remesher. I found that 20 by 20 works pretty good. And then what I'll do is let's just do 5,000 polygons and see what that gives us. Basically, I'm just looking for relatively even geometry throughout. It's probably going to be pretty low, yeah. So for this guy, I'm not worried about really good edge flow at all because he's not going to be animating, right? If this was for a video game character, I'd want to make sure that the full face has really nice edge flow. I'd probably want to do something more specific when it comes down to retopo for the face. I'd probably want to just take it into like Maya or Modo or something and retop by hand. Or take a pre-existing one, map it over this, and then extrude out some polys and stuff. But for this particular guy, I don't really care too much. All I'm really looking for is relatively even geo throughout, because we're going to be subdividing the crap out of this guy. So let's say I don't like that. Let's put this up to, say, 8,000. And then we'll ZRemesh one more time. But yeah, the overall idea, Tony, is that this will be printable. That's the pipeline I'm working for this guy. That's why he's all posed out and got all of his stuff. He's not all T-posed and everything. I think that's... just not a big fan of this right here. Let's see what it looks like when we divide. Let's divide once and then project just to see what that's going to look like. So if we do project, it will project onto whatever's visible. So I'm just going to do a quick project. Let's see what that looks like. So let's divide one more time. And so even though it's soloed out and all I see is this one, because the actual visibility is on, I can still project this and it'll work fine. Yeah, so when you're remeshing, you just what I always do is I always just reproject onto the original piece. So maybe we'll divide one more time and reproject again. So it smooths it all down, but because we're projecting onto the previous one here, it'll still retain all that info. So the things that I want to look out for is, see how this topology flow down here rolls really nicely with the nasolabial fold on this side, but it's all going in a different direction on this side. I may run into some issues. Let's see what we're at. We're at 500,000. So if we subdivide again, we should get around 2 million. So let's subdivide again. Yeah, 2.3 million, which is fine. See, we're even still getting all that. And then we'll do one more project. Alright, after we get this final projection here, then we'll go into the texturing XYZ Z-wrap stuff real quick. Okay, so now we see, like, as we're rolling here. So I may want to actually go back and redo the original one, the original ZRemesh, to see if I can get this a little bit better. Because as soon as you start doing this, look at that. It's just a little too funky. And we're already at 2.3 million. Right? So I want this to be able to hold a lot of a good geo. So I'm gonna back out of all this. There's no need to keep all that history. Okay, so here's where we are. So I think maybe what I'll try to do is, I wonder if we can just do some ZRemesh guides here real quick. So if we just do some of this. Honestly, I haven't had a whole lot of success with ZBrush guides. So I'm thinking maybe we can do that. And then I'm hoping what this will do is just inform the topology of where I'd like it to go. And some of the flows. Again, with ZRemesh, a lot of times you just gotta kind of play with it a little bit. So let's see what that does. So we'll go back to Geo. Let's put this on 5,000 because we're just testing the. So we're gonna see what that does. We're just testing the topology the topology flow for ZRemesh. See if that does anything good. Do it. No pressure, dude. Just hundreds of people watching you. See, that's a little bit better. See that? I like that. We got some circular stuff happening right there. Some happening there. That's pretty good. And that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Well, let's test this out. So we'll divide once and then do a project. That's pretty good. I love ZRemesher. It's so good. Alright, we'll do that one more time. Project all. Okay. Project all. See? Way better. All the betters. Let's divide one more time and then reproject. So what this is going to give me is nice, good, even topology throughout. Hey, you're right. Who doesn't love good topology with flow? I mean, come on. Saves lives. It does. But now I have all this nice topology flow throughout here. Right? So now that's going to be able to hold quite a bit more detail. So if I come in and let's say I want to do drag rec, let's just, I don't know, let's do that. Actually, you know what? Let's do spray. Sure. So it's going to be able to hold some nice stuff. Alright, so if we really want to get in and start doing a little bit more skin texture, all that geo is going to be able to hold. And then I can get in and really do, you know, some of this more fine detail work of the separation of this type of material in the actual skin. I can do all kinds of fun stuff now. You know, let's say like the skin is actually kind of bowling up around this. Now, a lot of times if you're going to get into the super nitty gritty of an actual face for like extreme close-ups, for like CG, you know, for cines or for video game, then you'll probably want to have more geo than this guy even has in the face, to be able to hold all the maps and to hold all the actual sculptural details of like the pores and everything. But again, this is, you know, we're really not going to see all this detail at all in the print. So I really just want to get this type of detail in there. So that's all I'm really looking for. If I was going for like the actual super high res video game face, I'd probably want to create some kind of seam through here, and I would extract just the full face and then subdivide the face a bunch more, because I don't need, you know, if you're looking at this, we're sitting at 16 million, no, 1.6 million. But that's for all this extra geo out here too. So imagine if you took all this geo and pumped it into the face, how much more detail you can get out of it. So I probably would actually separate the face along here somewhere. But that's for video game stuff. Alright, so now what I can do is, let's just turn everything back on. I'll turn this dude off, turn that guy off, and just turn these extra little pieces off. Alright. So now he's got good topology and is ready for even more details throughout here. So I'm not doing any more big structural changes. So I can actually go in and do all that stuff. But I told you guys I would go over the texturing XYZ flow real quick. So let's do that. Let's do that. First we'll save. Yep. Save it. Alright. So first thing that you want to do, and again, I'm gonna put the link to the texturing XYZ workflow from their website into the chat here. Hopefully everybody gets it. Hopefully everybody gets that. And if you don't, it's this one right here. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to grab the multi-channel albedo, and we're going to make a flat plane. We're going to bring that into ZBrush. I did something a little bit different here that I'll show. Alright, so we've got the flat plane, we've got the face. And you apply the texture to the flat plane, you get it all set up here. You do Z-wrap, you pick a bunch of points for on both the plane and the face, and you do the wrap. And then you're going to have your geo with the texture of the XYZ wrapped around your geo with your UVs. So basically the whole idea is that you're going to take, it's just a UV swap basically. That's all it really is. So you're going to take a texture that is rectangular and you're going to end up with that texture molded to your UVs. Does that make sense? So after we do the wrap, we'll be able to take those and bake those down basically. So see what he's doing here is he took the original the original texture, and using X normal, you're able to project those textures from where they are in that rectangle to your UVs, and that's what's happening right there. So that's a really key point in this tutorial, is that you need to have access to some baking where it takes the texture from one UV and maps it to a new UV space. And in order to do that, you have to have the geo sitting in the exact same 3D space. Does that make sense? So I'm not supposed to use the M word on the Pixelogic stream, but Mudbox will do this as well. Oh, I said it. Oh no. When the stream ends in about 2 minutes, you'll know why. But yeah, you could do it with XNormal or you could do it with Mudbox. So then you're able to, so after you transfer the maps, then you do that again with the new pack texture. And then you apply that texture to your model, and then there you go. Right? A few cups, I like how he goes, a few cups of coffee later. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to walk you through all the bake stuff. I'm going to walk you through everything up until here. And then I'll show you, I'll jump this stuff and I'll show you where I ended up, where my maps are, what my maps look like after I projected them. And we'll see. Yeah, we'll look at it in Toolbag. Okay, so that's that. See, already you can see where I ended up. But we'll do it in time. We'll do it in real time. For me, I used old man textures. I wasn't feeling the female textures for this guy. So I used a different one. I forget which one I used for him. M for Marmoset Toolbag? No, it's M for Mudbox. It's a dirty word here. Okay, so when I created the original plane, I took a look at what size the actual textures were. So let me just pull up. Okay, so I have my texturing. Here's the multi-faces that I grabbed. This is males 40, multi-face number 70. So it's this guy. So there's a couple little hitches. One is Mudbox does sound dirty, right? It is mud. A thing to note is that these original files from Texturing XYZ are larger than 8K. But right now ZBrush doesn't handle textures over 8K. So the first thing that you need to do is reduce this size to at most 8K. So 8192 I think is the word. What's up, Hassan? How you doing? So that's the first thing you need to do. And this one, so for the actual ZBrush process, I just put it down to 4K because I don't need that super high res map yet. I don't need the super high res map yet. I just need something where I can pick the actual landmark points just by seeing them on the flat plane. So what I did initially is I created a flat plane at the ratio that this is, right? So this is down to the 4K one, it's 4096 by 22581. So I just created a plane in Modo initially at that size, so that when I projected the photo on there, there was no stretching, right? Ultimately, it doesn't really matter because you're stretching the plane across your face anyways, so it doesn't really matter. So I kind of ran into some issues where the textures weren't showing up, and it's because the plane that I exported had weird UVs on it. So I just ended up just creating a plane here in Photoshop. I mean, in ZBrush. So if I just append a plane, let's grab this dude. What I can do is I can just go down to textures. Do I have it in? Of course I don't have it in. Alright, so let's go grab it. So we import texture XYZ. Full face. I'm just going to grab this 4K one. So here's my texture. I'm going to flip that upside down. So the only reason why I have the plane in here, based on the one that I made in Moto, is so that I can get the general size of it. Because if we just create a raw plane here, this is what you're going to get. Alright, so you're going to get this weird stretching. So basically all I did was I took this guy. What's up, Pedro? How you doing, man? Alright, so see, I can stretch him all I want. So all I have to do is make him the same size as the other plane. Super easy. Alright, let's turn on ghosting, transparent. Let's get this guy. So ultimately, this is just going to wrap around my dude anyways, so I'm not too worried about it being exact. All I really care about is that the texture takes up this full thing. And by creating just a regular plane in ZBrush, it already comes with the proper UVs where it'll show that. So let's just make sure, let's do display double. Let's put that in about the same spot. Again, I don't really care too much. I just want to make sure that I have enough geo in here to be able to wrap around. That's really the only thing that I want to make sure. Meh, that's good enough. So let's divide this once. Okay, there we go. So that one's all ready to go. So let's turn the old one off. Let's rename this one New Show and Tell. Hey, look what I did, guys! Alright, so we're going to throw this one up to the top. We're going to grab this guy, throw him up to the top. Let's turn everything else off. So, okay. Now we're pretty much ready. Just to review what this looks like and where we need the head sculpt to be. I'm just going to bake everything. And then we're going to take a look at my UVs real quick. So I'm going to go down to subdivision level 2. And then I'm just going to do Morph UV. You find Morph UV in UV Master. Where'd it go? Somewhere. Oh, that's flatten. Sorry. Morph UV is in UV Map. Morph UV. So you can take a look at your UVs here. So I made sure that I had good UVs on my original sculpt. There's all kinds of ways to do that. I won't get into it at this point. Alright, so I just want to make sure that I have good UVs. Alright, so this one's pretty much ready to go. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to, on this guy, I'm going to do a layer. So that I will be able to turn on and off the morph from the flat plane to there, just to show. Okay, so I think we're ready to roll. So everything is off. Everything is off. The plane has to be on the top, and the head is second, just for the way that ZWrap works. You can see that in the tutorial right here. See how we have the the flat plane on top, and then the the head just underneath it. I just turned my eyes off, so they're gonna have a completely different texture. All right, so then we go into ZWrap, and then we'll do start ZWrap. Okay. Why is my texture not lining up? I had this issue earlier. Why is it not doing it? Why is it not doing it? Texture on. I forgot how I got around this last time. I think maybe it was the PSD that I had to bring in. So this one is 4K. Let's do that. So let's grab this guy. Let's do... Yeah, sorry. So ZWrap is... Let me grab the link for you guys. Here is the... It's from 3RDS, the guys that make XWrap. It's just a plug-in for ZBrush. So you can try it for 30 days. That's what I did. I'm actually on the tutorial. I mean the trial right now. But very, very much worth 99 bucks. Very much worth it. Okay, so let's turn the texture map back to... I think it's this one. Let's just grab this guy. We'll get rid of all the other ones. Okay. Well, let's try it again. Of course. Why wouldn't you? What was the issue? Let's try this one. Come on, buddy. There we go. So I think it was something with my UVs. Now you can't bake it into polypaint because the polypaint it'll honestly, I think what happened was, let's try this real quick. Let's see if I can solve this. Wait, why is that different? I'm not sure about the Mac version, man. I think what I ended up doing was in my UV map, I created new UVs for it with UV planar. I think that's what it was. Anyways, you just got to make sure that your UVs are good on the actual plane. And that's how it will show up. Well, let me just try it really quickly. Let's do UVP. Let's do delete lower UVP. I don't know why that happened. Anyways, let's keep rolling. Alright. So, just make sure your UVs are good, and then we can get into the actual ZWrap. Alright, so this has got decent topology. This one, decent topology, we're on, I think, 16,000. We'll turn this guy on. We'll turn that guy on. No, not that guy. Sorry. Those two. Okay. And then we'll do ZBrush here. Alright. So then from here we just pick the same points. So we could you just left click, left click, left click. Do something like this. Left click, left click. For timing's sake, I won't go through this whole thing here. I'll just show you what I ended up with. So you can take a look at the examples on the tutorial here. Right? You just take a look at this real quick. So they have some on the forehead, they have some on the nose, some on the lips, on the chin, on the eyes, and on the ears. So that's the basic flow that I use. So then maybe we'll do this one there, this one, I'm missing one. 9 goes up here. So you can just click and drag these. This is pretty nice. Put that back over here. Or you can reset if you want. You can even save these and reload them later, as long as your poly count doesn't change. So if you subdivide it or change your flow at all, you won't be able to load those in. Okay, so then we're just going to do this fairly quick. Okay, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We're going to go that one there. We'll go this one here. We'll do some on the forehead. So we'll do 22, 23, 22, 23. We'll do maybe 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so then I'm going to unsync my views real quick. Grab this guy, move him over. And then for the ears, you just will do a couple points here. Okay, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Move that over and do the other side real quick. Okay, 33, 34, 35. Actually, I want to do 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Just make sure that's 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Okay, then if we go to view, fit to view, then I can zoom back in here. And then, yeah, $99 a year is really cheap. And you can use this for all kinds of things. You can use it for, it's really good for just brief topologizing and making sure you have like good UVs and stuff like that. For production models, really good. It's actually really good for if you have scans and you'd like to project some of the forms from a scan to something that you're using. That's really helpful too. And then I'll just roll a couple up the side here too real quick. So 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. 43, 44, 45. So what I also suggest is going through a couple of their tutorials here, just on their ZWrap plugin for ZBrush page. Go through these real quick. They're super quick, but they're really, really helpful, especially working with wrapping parameters, working out with high poly base meshes. I would definitely go through that one for sure. All right, so then we go to wrapping. There's all of our points, and we're going to do this live, so we're going to see how it goes. So in preferences, I think the big one is just setting the sample to twice what it is, so we'll do 0.4. We'll hit OK. All right, let's see how this goes. Start wrapping. So you don't want crazy amounts of geo here. There you go. Like that. You don't want crazy amounts of geo here. You just want to get it in the about location. Because then from here, we'll subdivide the plane and reproject. Easy peasy. Now you'll quickly see why it's really, really important that the baking step is, it all hinges on that baking step. So having a software where you can project the textures from one UV space to a new UV space without losing any degradation between the two. You can do it with XNormal. When I tried it, actually, XNormal's website was down. I wasn't able to do it, so that's why I had to use a Mudbox. Magic. Magic. I think it's all CPU based. I'm not sure though. I'm not sure. I want to say it's CPU based. And I'm mostly just saying that because I know that ZBrush is 100% CPU and 0% GPU. So you'll see, even with just this low of topology, it takes a good amount of time. Right? And it's still not perfect. Right, so we'll have to go in and fix the ears quite a bit. Right? Alright, so then we'll say we'll say done, and that will update the alright. Now it's having problems, so I'm just gonna hit new document. There we go. So there you go. There's our wrap. Not bad. Alright, so we'll see what's going on here. So we'll just need to do a little bit of cleanup. So the awesome thing is that this texture is not, it's projected onto this geo. So I can subdivide, I can move the geo as much as I want to, and it's not really going to stretch that texture too much. So it retains the fidelity on the texture because the texture is actually projected from a bitmap onto the UVs. So if you change the geo, it's not really going to affect the texture. And that's super, super key point. So that's actually not that bad. So maybe we'll subdivide once, and then we'll come in and do a quick project. Subdivide again, do another project. Oh, you know what we wanted to do instead of doing that? We want to turn this guy back up to the 6th subdivision. So now when we reproject, we won't get those weird stuff. But you'll see quickly where you'll have to go in and fix some stuff. How do you export for rigging? You either just use export here as export as OBJ, or you go into Z plugin FBX import export and export as a FBX. Alright, we'll divide one more time and then project again. So there you go. So now this one has the same UVs. It has the flat plane, right? So if you load in the textures onto that flat plane on this one, they'll still be good. And then when you use the baking process, it will actually take that and project it. Here, it'll project it onto your new UVs. Let me just open up Photoshop real quick and I'll show you what my final looks like. So I'm going to open it up over here real quick. Okay. Let me turn off all the stuff. Do that. Let's do that. All right, so I'll turn off all my edits so you can see the actual. There we go. Turn that off. And we'll turn that off. Okay, so that right there is the raw bake for me. Not that bad, right? So if you can see where the topology is. Not bad, right? And then this one is this one's just sitting at 4K because my my final pieces are just going to be in game. I'm not going to use anything. I'm not going to use anything above 4K in game. So I put all of my textures down to 4K. So now what you can do is you can take and switch in this one. You can switch this texture now. Right, so I just used the diffuse so that I can line everything up. So now what I can do is I can come into texture and I can import the displacement. Right, so again, these are all in the same plane, right? The same aspect ratio. So if I do that, this is going to be 8K, so it's going to take a second. Alright, so I'm going to grab this dude, I'm going to flip him upside down, and now when I go in, let's rotate him once. I think it's that one. There you go. So now this one is a packed. So that's what's awesome about these maps is that these images are packed, which means that let's just open up that guy real quick. So we'll take a look at the displacement one here. Okay, which means that in the different channels, you have 3 grayscale maps. So in the red, you have the height map. In the green, you have displacement map. Look at this. Look at all that juicy, juicy good stuff. Look at all that. And then in the blue, you have the detail map. So now all this stuff will be able to be used in the displacement portion of ZBrush. Right? All of this to get these maps in the right locations on your high-res mesh. Right? So we did this. We baked that to the new one, which is, and I'll show you the displacement ones. What did I do with it? I think I put it in. Let me just grab this guy real quick. From ZBrush? No. Gotta find it real quick. Hold on. Export of maps. That's what I want. Utility. Okay. So then what I did was I did that same. So I swapped. I swapped the texture, and then rebaked it. Actually, this is the utility. Utility's got some really cool stuff like blood flow and all kinds of transfusion maps and stuff. So let me open up the displacement one. That's not displacement. Nope, that's not the one. Hold on. Displacement 3. Try that one. There we go. So basically I just did that same bake. And then now when I go in here, there's my height map. Green is my displacement map. And blue is my detail map. So the whole idea is you take all of these maps and transfer all of them position-wise from one UV set to another UV set. And that's what you're doing in the baking process. But it has to be in the same 3D space. Right? So I have all those done. So I just export those out. So basically what I would do is I would grab this guy. Let me just do a thing here real quick. So we're going to add a new layer, grab this guy, select all, copy, got this, go to red, select all, copy, put that into here, and then we paste. But we want to do Control-Shift, paste, so that it pastes right into the same exact position. So now I have a full layer with this height map, right? And now if I export this, I can use that in the displacement map here. So let's grab onto this guy. Right, so basically all of that is to get those maps remapped into the location that you want to in 3D space on your new UVs. So if I grab this dude and I go into texture map, right, and I import that new texture, and there we go. Right, so how did I do my displacement maps? It's a good question. So let's add a new layer. Right, and then we're going to come into here. So let's turn this guy off. Let's add a new layer. And this one we're gonna do displacement. So we'll do Control A, Control C for copy. Come in here. Shift Control V paste, which pastes into position, and then we'll take this guy out and we'll export him. Right, so then let's save as, and then let's just do displacement testing. And that's been this location, that's fine. Save that up. And I think this one's at 8K. So now you are using the plane as the main faceball? No. So you're using that as your bake source. This one is 16-bit, so we have to change it first. ZBrush doesn't support 16-bit at the moment. Yeah, no problem. Ooh, it's getting hot in this room. Okay, so before we actually do that, we want to go to image mode, change that to 8-bit. Let's look at the image. Again, this won't show because it's above 8K. So I want to do 8192. I think that's right. Pull up my handy dandy calculator. And we'll do 4096 times 2 is 8192. 8192. That's fine. Hit OK. Just going to resize all that. Just fine. Then I'm going to resave this. Saves much quicker. Okay, cool. So right, now I'm going to go into, it's actually going to be alpha. So it's not going to actually be a texture, it's going to be an alpha. So we go alpha import. We're going to grab the testing one. And I'll bring it into here. Error loading a file. Nice, thanks. Of course. So let's do save as. Maybe we'll do it as a JPEG. That's going to be 4 megs. That's fine. Okay, saved it out. Let's try that again. Alpha import. We're going to do the JPEG this time. Okay, there we go. So there's our alpha. So we do want to flip this upside down. So then we're going to go into displacement. Now, for me, it's key. I really want to make sure that I do all this on a layer. So now I'm going to go into displacement map. I'm going to come in here, grab this displacement texture. And you're like, oh, it's not doing anything. Why is it not doing anything? It's because your intensity's at 0 to start out with. So I usually do, let's say, 0.003. There you go. Check that out. Oh, money. Oh, money. So now, quickly you'll see that you'll run into some issues. One is, how do you deal with this edge around there? And you really don't want all that stuff in there. So that's when I would go in and change some stuff in the actual Photoshop document. So like, let me grab, not that one. So that's when I started doing some work on the actual textures, right? So I filled in the mouth, I filled in the background. So it's going to be the same thing for the displacement maps and stuff. And stuffs. So let's grab, I think it was displacement 3. Is that already open? No. That doesn't show any of the work here. Where did I do that? Let's do details real quick. All right, so these were my exported versions. So you'll see I did a detail map, I did a displacement map, and then I did a height map. So let's look at the displacement map real quick. Oh, there we go. So basically what I did is I just added a new a background. And then what I would do is I would just go in and soften all this stuff up. So you don't have all kinds of crazy stuff. So now if you want to see all this without the texture map in ZBrush, you have to have some kind of texture on in order to see the displacement map. So usually what I do is I'll just create a blank gray. So if I come in here, hit export. So I have a blank background. It's just like a flat gray. Oh my god. Chill out, dude. There we go. So just grab this. Here's my just gray background. And then now I can see all those really nice things happening. Alright, so what I want to do is come in here and let's add a mask real quick. And we'll just do this live. And I'll just mask some of this stuff out. Let's do that. Maybe we'll do my opacity down a little bit. Alright, I'll just soften up these edges a little bit because I don't want that craziness happening. I can get rid of all this. I don't want all that in my sculpt. Alright, so just get rid of this stuff real quick. And the great thing is that we haven't really applied that map yet. So all we have to do is switch this out. Let's do that. Okay, and then we'll do, so this is the head text port displacement 1. So we'll save that real quick. Head back to ZBrush. ZBrush, where are you? There you are. Oh, you're saving. That's why. All right. Sorry I missed some of your questions. Yeah, you can do all kinds of morph targets and stuff. All right, so let's bring this guy back in. Let's import. Crap, what did I save it as? There's too many maps, man. So, save as, export them from PS. This is displacement 01. Okay, so I'm going to come over here, grab alpha, import, displacement 01. That's this one. Okay, let's come back into alpha. Here's my new one. We're going to flip this upside down. And then in Displacement Map, we'll come in here and grab that one. See, there you go. So now it's kind of softened all that stuff out. Right, got rid of all that stuff. I can just redo that, it's fine. Wait, why did it do that? Alright, buddy. What are you doing here? I think I have to rotate this one. Nope. Why did it do that? That's weird. It was lining up a minute ago. That's weird. Why aren't you lining up anymore? Strange. How's it doing that? Okay, anyways. Now, let's go back to this guy here real quick. So anyways, you line those up and you reproject them. Which one is this? Head wrap 5, okay. Head final. Let's see if I got my layers back. Nope. Nope. Let me load up my tool again here real quick. See what's going on. It never goes as smoothly as you really think it will. There you go. There's the final product. What do you think? All right. Here's all my layers. Wait, which one is which? I can't explain the projection part. What I would suggest is just following that tutorial. So follow this. Again, I'll throw this into chat here for you guys. Basically, what you're doing is you're projecting from one UV to your new UV by baking. So in this, looks like Jeremy did X normal. So basically, what you're doing is if your wrapped plane with your original flat UVs is sitting in the exact same space as your full head with your new UVs sitting in the same spot, you're able to project where this plane is and its textures are onto your new UV set. And that's how you get this. Right? So it's all about projecting that texture from its original plane to your UV set. Once that happens, then you can bring those UVs or those back into ZBrush and use them as displacement maps. Does that make sense? It's a really key part of this whole pipeline is that you have to be able to have the ability to project from one UV space to a new UV space without losing any degradation in the texture. So once this pulls back in, I'll show you. Come on. Save it. I actually didn't notice this either. I think this head is from a male scan, but it's used for a female head. Yeah, so what happens is, so you got the part with Z-wrap, but then you project the result of the Z-wrapping from one mesh to another or something? Yes. So basically, during this baking process, you're baking from your flat plane 3D mesh wrapped to your new head with its own UVs. So you're transferring the texture from this UV set to this UV set. Does that make sense? So this is the flat plane wrapped around your head, and it's now baking from this UV down to this new UV that's on here. Right? So that's what this map was. Right? And then you do the same thing with the displacement. And then you bring those back into ZBrush as an alpha. And then you use that as displacement map. So hopefully that's what I'm going to be able to show you right now. So let's bring in see if this one's actually going to work. Oh, that's my old head, that's why. Let's do head final here. Okay, there we go. So there's my texture map, right? So this one was the flat plane that was baked down to my new UVs and then projected here as a texture map. So you do the exact same thing with the displacement map, and then you export those from the red channel, the green channel, and the blue channel. Okay, cool. Got it. Let's see if I can grab... You know what? Let me load... Okay, that was the head wrap. Let me grab at the actual final guy here. So this one I just did as a wrapping scene, and then did all my actual textures back in the full body scene. So we'll load that up real quick. Yeah, the key part of this is that baking step. So it can be a little bit confusing. But again, basically you're transferring those maps from one UV set to now your new UV set that's on your head. And that's all based on how your geo is wrapped around your head sculpt. So I'll wait for this guy to load up here real quick. It's a long process, man. Alright, while that's going, I'll show you just a quick... so I set up my maps in Marmoset here. Of course, now my computer's being all slow. Let's just do this guy. Oh, my computer's chugging right now. Give me a sec, guys. How did you add the missing parts of the head texture? I mean, tiny details. I mean, are you talking about outside the original projected plane? Come on, buddy. Where are you at? There you are. Come on. Come on. Do the thing. There we go. Alright. So here's my dude. And here is his sculpt after the projection of all those details. So if I go down to layers, you can see we've got displacement, we've got height, and we got detail. Alright, so if we pull these out, I'll show you here. So here's plane, here's with the displacement added, which was from the displacement map here. And then, see, I'll put these on different layers so that I can change the amounts of them. So then here's height. So no height. Height is super subtle, but super important to get some of that actual surface variation. And then we throw a little bit of the detail in there. So in the sculpt, you actually kind of want to over sculpt it a little bit. You'll see you have to go and fix some stuff. You want to over sculpt it a little bit because when you bake it, it tends to kind of normal out some of those details. It won't look exactly like this. So we did some pore fixes. You see I fixed the part under the nose. Some in the upper eyes here. I was actually pointing to it on my screen. And then I added a little bit of extra pores on his cheek here. So that was where my bake was. So then I just came down here to normal map and then just did create normal map. So you come all the way down here, you do create normal map. Let that go for a second. Alright, and then there's my normal map. hit clone normal map. That will put that up in the texture, and then you export that, and then there's your normal map. And that normal map is the one that I'm using right here. And then there's all kinds of setup stuff that you need to do in here as well. Right, so if you're going to use skin, you want to change your settings for your skin tones. Your roughness and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so the question was, how did I fix the textures? Right, so if I come in here and I turn on my texture map, how did I fill in those areas? It's simple. You just go into Photoshop and you just start working on it. So here's the things. So in highly realistic video game head pipeline, there's lots of extra work that you need to do to your maps in order to get them to a good quality state. So here's some of the things that I did. Right, so I filled in the mouth, I put in a background, and these fixes, what I did was I got rid of that little line, and basically what I'm doing is I'm just using the stamp tool and just cloning a part up here. Right, so fix the lips and the nose, and then same thing as I just use the clone tool to add all of this extra stuff down here. Alright, so see all that. I don't really care. So one of the first questions that I had before I got to this workflow was, well, how do the pores line up with your displacement and all that stuff, and your color map? There's a trick to it. It's a very, very big trick, but a very easy trick. So here, I just flattened all that. And then I added some color changes around to just blend that stuff in. So that was my original, that was my fixed. Original, fixed. So what you do is you take the cavity map. It's not the concavity map, it's the, why are you turning on? Oh, you're on multiply, that's why. Oh, you're on 44%, that's why. Okay, here's what you do. You need to create a, when you're baking, you want a curvature map. A curvature map will give you, so here's, the curvature map will give you everything from a flat plane up, so everything that's raised off that flat plane, and everything that's sculpted into the flat plane. So your curvature map will contain the peaks and all the valleys from that central plane. That's what all this stuff is. Right? This is your curvature map. How did I get this curvature map? Yep, yeah, I got it. So when you come in here, this is where you get your curvature map from. So if you export this as a high res, and then you export it as your game res, you can, I think I used Substance Painter. No, actually, sorry. I actually used Marmoset to do it. So in Marmoset, if you have, I actually have it right here. So here's your high res. That was my high res sculpt. Let's turn that guy off. Let's turn this guy on. So there's my high-res sculpt. Right, that's my high-res sculpt. That's my low-res sculpt. And then I just baked the curvature right there. So that gave me this map. So now because the curvature includes peaks and valleys, what I want to do is I want to isolate the peaks from the valleys. So let's say if you did this in nulled. When you bake from nulled, you get a convex and a concave map. You want to use the concave map, which is a concavity map or a cavity map. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you all of the sculptural details that are dug in. That's what I want to isolate. So the question is, okay, what if I don't have nulled? How do I get a concavity map or a convexity map? Super easy. It's actually half of your curvature map. So you take a curvature map, which is this one, baked from your high res to your low res, and what you do is you isolate with levels. So in this levels, come on, it's thinking. My computer's so slow right now. See, I just isolated one side, which gave me all of my cavities. So this is now a concavity map or a cavity map. You all with me on that? I think I just lost everybody. The important thing is when you get the cavity map, this is going to be extra details in your diffuse map. When you sculpted the curvature, did you look the alphas from? No. So to recap, I wrapped, I baked. Now I have I have the height, I have the displacement, and I have the detail maps now in my UV space. Right? So I got all the maps. And then I take and create the high res from that. So I did all the high res sculpting. That's right. So all the wrap stuff, all of that stuff is to get to here. Is to project back to your high res so that you have all of the pores and everything in the correct space. So think about it. All the wrapping and all the projecting and all that baking stuff is to get back to your pores in your high res sculpt. Right? So that's phase one. Wrap, reproject, and bake those textures onto your UVs. Take those new textures and put them into the displacement map to get back to your final high-res sculpt with all the pore detail. That's phase one. Phase two now becomes taking the high-res final sculpt with all the pore detail and then making your final maps. Right? So that's where I baked my curvature map. And here's the payoff. So take the curvature map, right? So we just take the bottom half of the curvature map. This is actually the curvature. And then what we do is, hurry up, come on. Oh, computer's chugging so bad. We're going to place that over our diffuse map. All right, so we take our diffuse map. So this is why it doesn't matter why I the pores don't necessarily match up with the diffuse and the sculpt, is because I'm going to take the sculpt details and actually put them back into the diffuse. So I use that with the actual curvature map. So I take the cavity map. Here's the big payoff, is that you used colorize with the hue and saturation. And then we take this and we pull this guy down to multiply. Look at that. Look at that. Look up here, as Paul would say. Look up here. Look at that. Now I've used my cavity map that was baked from my final sculpt to enhance the details of the color in the diffuse map. Yes. So the important thing is you take the bottom half of your, this is actually curvature. Let me just do this. Curvature. This is your curvature map that you bake. Look up here. Right? This is the bottom half of the curvature, which is now actually called a cavity map, right? Because that's what it is. It's literally pulling out all of your peaks and only showing you the valleys. That's a cavity map. So if you can bake a cavity map, awesome. You could do it from ZBrush too. You could bake a cavity map right from there. I prefer to do it this way because it's fun. Yep. So then you use your hue and saturation in colorize, and then you turn your curvature to multiply. And now you've got that. And then play with it to your heart's content. You may want to actually turn it down quite a bit so it'd be a little bit more subtle. And now all of those details are all matched up. And your diffuse is even better. Right? So then from there, you're still nowhere near done. So you really want to go in and really start pushing some of the skin values. So what I do is I take a old school painting method, and I'll go and I'll create a blue, right? And then I'll just mask that in wherever I want my blue tones, right? And then maybe I'll take some green into the eyes. Maybe I'll take a little bit of magenta into the eyes. And then I'll take the red and pull it into the cheeks. And then I'll take some yellow and put it over the cheeks and the forehead, right? So I'm really, really starting to enhance what this looks like. And then maybe I want to add a little bit more saturation. But I want to desat that quite a bit. So how did I produce the curvature map? Easy peasy. So I used all of those projected details to do my final high-res sculpt. Right? So I have this. So just export that at high-res, and then I go down to subdivision level 2 and export that as my game res. That's what these two are. So in Marmoset, I have my high-res, which is that one, and I have my low-res. Yeah, face. Oh, Gurney's awesome. Of course, this is not responding now. But anyways, I just baked my curvature map here in Marmoset. Just use a baker, put your high res in the high folder, put your low res in the low folder, click on curvature, and then if you scroll up, there's a little bake here. So that's how I got that. That's how I got the curvature map. So we did a bunch of extra stuff. Add some red around the eyes. So it's all about this very subtle stuff that you're doing. There we go. Now it's going. Right? So then you just bake those. That's how you get your curvature map. So Siegel says, okay, before that, did you sculpt in all the bad hand? What do you mean bad hand? I don't know what you mean, man. So it's taking, so the idea is take the flat plane with the original texture, you wrap that to your new head with your new UVs. You bake those from the flat plane to your new UVs. So now you have all of those textures on your new UVs. You take those maps, you bring them back into ZBrush, and you use those as your displacement maps, and you sculpt those details in. Okay? Sculpt all those details in. You do any extra details that you want. Maybe eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and fill in all this stuff, right? So you'll have to, and then you got to do the ears, do the back of the head, all that stuff by hand. Oh, so before that you sculpt in everything else by hand, right? Yes. Right, so you get to the point where you're happy with all of the pore details, everything's in its place, you have your final high-res sculpt. And then you bake all of that information, you bake your normal map down to your game res, which in this case is my level 2. That's my game res. So there's my normal map, export that guy out. Come in here. There's my low res. You see there's the actual low res. And if I come into head final, here's my normal map. There it is. And that has all those pore details. I just baked a roughness map real quick. There's my albedo. And then I played around with subsurface textures and stuff. So then you want to set up your my lighting in here sucks really bad right now. That's why like all this stuff is kind of looking kind of doopy. But all the main stuff is there. All right. So what's really interesting is that it really makes a big difference when you start doing some of this post work to it. Really, really makes a huge difference. All those little subtleties to skin texture, whether it be color, whether it be your scatter maps, your subsurface scattering, that kind of stuff. Super, 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 super important. Let's do key light and just turn this guy up. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do. Eventually, it's really just about what your final product is going to be. So if this is going to be in a different engine, you want to tune all your maps to wherever that final resting place is. Is your game res level 2? Just have a single level of subdivision on top, or you manually retopoed? For this particular guy, what did I do? I think I originally got the head from a scan from 3D Scan Store, and then sculpted on top of it, which gave me just the topology. Gave me this topology, which is not really good topology at all, but because I'm subdividing it so much, and I'm using subdivision level 2 as my 0, I don't mind it. It's not that big of a deal. The only thing I really, really have issues with are the ear, this part right here, and the mouth. The mouth, it has a nice edge loop through here, but if I was going to do it, I would have that one of those edge loops go around the mouth like this. And then I really don't like that there's no edge loop here. But for this guy, whatever, it's just, I didn't really mind that much. I didn't feel like doing a retop myself. But I think probably the most important thing was making sure that you had good UVs. So I made some time to go through and change my UVs to something really good. Because I want to make sure that the face has enough texel density to be able to support all of those really good textures that I'm projecting. So, when we look back at the full dude, I don't think I have my texture map in here right now. No, I don't. That's what we're getting. And look at that, 7:58. I got 2 minutes. Questions? Any questions? Questions. Anybody question? Question. Questions. Anybody, anywhere. Somebody having questions. Yes, Dwarf Weaponsmith. Actually, this guy is from... Let me see if I can actually grab the concept for you. From Adrian Wilkins did the original. Let's see, Horizon Zero Dawn, Adrian Wilkins. I actually did this guy. I did a lot of this guy on ZBrushLIVE as well. I think he was one of the first major projects that I was working on. So here's the dude, Darhibi. So the next step is to do... So I already did his weapon. It's just not shown here. The next step is to start doing hair. Hair today, gone tomorrow. And that is that, ladies and gents. But I'll probably be going to be doing hair, and then once I have my own process down, I'll share that result in that pipeline with you guys too. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is creating my hair for hair cards in fiber mesh. How did you work on the texel density? Glorious beard. Again, curvature map equals cavity map? No. Curvature map equals convexity map plus cavity map. Let's go back over here real quick. So, the thing is that a lot of times people are used to using NALD, that software, as taking your normal map and extracting other maps from it, right? And two of those maps are your convexity map and your concavity map, right? So you really just want the concavity map in order to be able to colorize and put into your diffuse to really enhance the pore details, right? So you're literally just taking the bottom half of a curvature map. So you can do that by using your levels and just cutting half of it off. But let me turn this back to normal and turn this back up to 100%. Right, so if I have this, let me turn all these guys off too. Right, that's my curvature map. Actually, that's my curvature map. So if I take and I isolate just the bottom half, I mean, you could do this too. But really from here, I kind of want this extra little stuff, this extra little gray detail in here. That's your concavity map. And then you use that colorized with a hue and saturation, colorized. And then you use this as multiply. Boom. Dunsky. All right. Any other questions? Looks like the blue guy from God of War. Oh yeah, what's this? The smith or whatever. The blacksmith. That's funny. Yeah, a little bit. All right. Didn't really do much on the troll today. All right, ladies and gents, I think that's it for me. Hope you guys got some good info out of it. Oh, I hope. I will be back in 2 weeks, and we will pick up on some new stuff. Not some new stuff, but we'll continue with the troll. We're going to try to get him all finished up. Brock, yeah, I think that's what his name was, yeah. And, yeah, in the meantime, thanks for hanging out. Really appreciate everybody chilling with us today. Hope you guys had some fun. Hope you guys learned a thing or 14. And most of all, I hope you were inspired to go make your own stuff. So do it. Go make some cool stuff. At least once a week. I'd like to say 4 or 5 times a week. Even once a day. Do what you can. Alright, guys. We'll see you soon. Stay tuned for more awesome ZBrush streamers. If you haven't given ZBrush Pixelogic Twitch channel a follow, give them a follow. And if you'd like to follow me, my channel is right over there on the bottom. Copy and paste is a beautiful thing if you don't want to spell all that out. But on my own personal channel, I'm actually working on texturing for this guy in Substance Painter. So you're welcome to follow me there, and we'll get him textured up on my personal streams. So have fun. I'll see you guys soon. Stay tuned. There's more. All right. Later, everybody.